Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, Kala Imaya, Bashim Yahshua, Bashim Akakudash. Divine is the elders and apostles of King Muslim, do well and teach well. Tez upon you checking in with another video. Love when you be edifying to the hopeful elect. Just was looking around on the, you know, world news, in Google, because this is our job, um, and part of our role, man, right, as prophets, as men of the Lord, is that we got to look at the news and connect it to the scriptures and measure the time diligently, right? And also to be that spiritual watchman and to warn our people, right? Um, because like it says in Ezekiel, the third chapter, and I believe it's also said in the 33rd, it just says the same thing. If you give not the people warning, right, then the blood is on your hands, right? Because you failed as a watchman, right? So, you know, if if you're in this thing, right, and you desire to be a hopeful elect, well, then would be at that number, then you know this should come naturally to you. You should wanna, you know, do that, right? Because you got these other camps. They're not going into prophecy, but things. They're not going into prophecy or current events like that. They're going into like debating shows and talking about, you know, entertainment and stuff like that. They're getting into more of an entertainment side of things. So, EPnews.com, U.S. Navy seizes an Iranian flagged ship in the Strait of Hormuz. I believe about, what they say, one third or one eighth of the world's resources passed through the strait. Alright, so let's see. Let's do some Googling. How much of the world's resources passes through the Strait of Hormuz? Alright, and that was me using the audio search on my phone. So approximately, this AI overview. Approximately 20% of the world's total oil and liquefied natural gas supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, making it the world's most critical energy checkpoint. In 2025, nearly $600 billion worth of energy trade, or roughly 20 million barrels of oil per day, passed through the 20-mile corridor. Right? And, they're still not letting ships through pretty much. Right? I remember. Let me see. Let's just Google that too. Is Iran currently letting ships through the Strait of Hormuz? Wow, that's horrible. Is Iran currently letting ships through the Strait of Hormuz? Okay, there we go. Wow, it didn't even search it. Oh my gosh. Is Iran currently letting ships? Bear with me, we're gonna get the precepts. We're just gonna read like a little bit, the first paragraph, and then we get the precepts. So as of today, Iran has reimposed restrictions and threatening to block ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Right, so they might allow non-hostile traffic. So yeah, so it's up in the air. I remember they said like a couple days ago they were letting ships through, but then no one really wanted to go through because they're scared pretty much. Uh, yeah, that whole area is like a powder keg, you know. The United States attacked and seized an Iranian flagged cargo ship. It said it tried to escape its naval blockade near the Strait of Hormuz on Sunday, and Iran's military command vowed to respond, throwing a fragile ceasefire into question days before it expires. Right, it's gonna expire the 22nd. So I think that's Wednesday. All right, let's see here. Uh, U.S. blockade of Hormuz. Um, yeah, so on April 12th, I used to Google this, right? US blockade of Hormuz, and they pulled up Strait of Hormuz crisis 2026 on Wikipedia.org. On April 12th, JD Vance announced that the talks between the US and Iran had failed. In other words, Trump's declared naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Now the US Navy will prevent ships from entering or exit the strait and intercept ships that have paid tolls to Iran. So yeah, man, right? This is pretty much what's going on. Right? Very tense situation. So I think this is a good time to first get, some precepts. This is the book of you know, Matthew, chapter 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Alright, so you're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. Alright, so wars and rumors of wars, you know, report, you go into that word rumor, reports of war, you know. Akoi Echo G189 says, thing heard, instruction, new oral, preaching the gospel, hearsay, report, or rumor. Alright, you're hearing the report, right? You're hearing the report live and direct, right, to the internet. Like this whole thing right here, it actually came about like today, like literally like 2 hours ago. So it was updated, but this is something that's like straight up, like just popping off pretty much. All right, and that's all to knowledge being increased, man. All right, the internet. All right, yeah, to the internet, you can get it live and direct, man. You know, back then, where they have like newspapers and things like that, things travel by like word of mouth. Like they show you in that the HBO series Rome, yeah, like a crier who would pretty much talk about current events. Like a guy would just be speaking about it, you know, yelling out. Alright, so things travel by word of mouth. But now, by knowledge being increased, you got it on your phone. You got all these different televisions, monitors everywhere. So you can be going to your local restaurant to get a sandwich, and then you look at the monitor and you see boom, the news. And now you hear reports, what's rumors, you got it on your phone. You know, you got it easy access on your laptop, just a couple key clicks away. Alright. So you hear wars and rumors of wars, so you should be out of trouble. Alright, so don't be troubled by these things. Alright, so these things must come to pass, but that is not yet. Alright, you see how Shai speaking. Alright, so don't be troubled by these things. Alright, because these are things that must come to pass, but this isn't the end quite yet. Alright, we're waiting for the MOTB to be pushed out, made mandatory. Right, Jacob's trouble, our temptation. You know, what's the time of trial? Right, which is gonna have your faith truly be tested. That's why you gotta build up. You gotta study. You gotta make these videos, and so on and so forth. You build yourself up. And of course, pray that the Lord have mercy upon you in those times, and that you make it through. Because they're gonna threaten, your life pretty much. Ultimately, they're gonna be like, yo, you don't want to take this thing, we're gonna put you to death. And you're gonna have to, you know, have that spirit where you like fuck it, if we're gonna get put to death, we're gonna get put to death. It is what it is. You know, you gotta really be on that kind of time. You know, so um, verse 7: for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There should be famines, pestilence, earthquakes in various places. Right? So this is not a nation. This is not. Is this not an example of a nation, you know, rising up against nation? All right, kingdom against kingdom wars. Right? Which really, and this thing all goes back to another precept, which we won't get into, but Jeremiah 50, I think about 33 or so. Now, no, it's not 33. It's further down, maybe like 40 something. But it goes into at least the will actually drive them out. Right, talking about these Amalekites, man. Right, and Amalek has been campaigning against Iran for the longest time, man. Right, this is something that they really wanted. While they were trying to, well, ceasefire was, those talks were going on. What did Amalek do, man? He went out and attacked Lebanon, and then attacked Lebanon and began bombing it. Right, and tried to manipulate and say, oh yeah, the ceasefire doesn't include Lebanon, so we're attacking Lebanon. All right, when it actually did. Right, that was a part of their conditions. Iran, still took it for a while, but now, you know, this devil's showing their horns, and they're not falling for it. All right. So yeah, it was the first interception since the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports began last week. Iran's joint military campaign called the onboarding and attack of piracy and ceasefire violation. The state broadcaster said, with the U.S. Iran standoff over the street sharpening, ceasefire expiring by Wednesday. It's not clear what Donald Trump's narrows, but the announcement on new talks with Iran now stood. He said the U.S. negotiators will head to Pakistan on Monday, so tomorrow, to figure it out. And so you can read the rest. We see here Iranian said that YCB suggested new talks won't take place. Um, they didn't exactly say that no new talks will take place, but you can see here they're essentially calling Babylon, you know, unreasonable and bullying, right? Which really goes back to these fog drawing them out, man, right? You know, pretty much Amalek is the chief nation of the Edomites, right? And they're behind the scenes, manipulating Babylon the Great, right? Which really goes all the way back to the Rothschilds, right? So I'm gonna let that be that. But we'll get edified, and I say shalom.